into the live chat here shortly. All right, got some people getting on with us. We'll go ahead and get rolling tonight. As always, questions, comments, be sure to throw up there. We'll sure try to get to as many of them as we can. Sometimes things get scrolling pretty quick, especially when we're live on 2 different formats. Sometimes it gets a little hectic for me to keep up. If I missed you, it was not intentional. And sometimes, like I said, things just get scrolling pretty quick. And sometimes we do run into feed issues with the systems as well, as far as feeding comments. We've run into that multiple times. So, if I do miss you, it wasn't intentional, but I sure try to keep up with whatever I can. So anyway, thanks for everybody coming back. As always, comments, go ahead and pop them up there. We'll get rolling on them. And haven't seen anything pop up yet, which is kind of odd. Dan's on YouTube. Thanks for being back, Dan. I know you're one of our regulars. Glad you made it back. Kevin's on YouTube, on Facebook. Jill on Facebook. Here we go. Now it's starting to roll. I don't know if we had a hang up in the system or what, but we're rolling now. So good. Everything's working. We got comments on both formats, so we know that at least somewhat of the system is working with us tonight. So thanks for coming back, everybody. Lee in New York's on. He's another one of our regulars. Glad you made it back, Lee. And lots of exciting things happening. Things are starting to tick. Things are starting to happen. And at least there's activities that we can go and be part of finally, and keep our fingers crossed that continues. Adam's on with us from England, over in the UK. Glad you stayed up late to hang out with us for a while tonight, Adam. Glenn from Minnesota's on for his Sunday night old car fix. Glad you made it. Billy from Texas is on. So a lot of familiar names popping up, and glad you guys made it back. Can't thank you enough for swinging back by. I know there's a lot of things going on out there, and the fact that you guys come by and hang out every Sunday night it's pretty cool. So, but anyway, Meekum had an auction last week or this weekend. It finished up yesterday. Barrett starts this weekend. Swap meets are starting to be planned and not get canceled this year. Car shows are still on at this point on a lot of things that I'm hearing, so that's always nice. I got my good buddy Bill Twitchell on. Kevin says Facebook is cutting out, so we may have some feed issues on Facebook. As always, I'm hardwired into my modem on both formats. I don't like running on Wi-Fi because of that, so we may have some Facebook feed issues there. Donald from Nashville is on. Joe from Sandwich, Illinois is on with us. Glad you guys all made it. So, but anyway, Meekum had a very successful sale from what it looked like. My good buddy Jim Wicks was there, said everything looked real strong to him, and looked through some of the results last night. My buddy Mike Shook in Russell said Facebook is not working. So he jumped over to YouTube. Chris is on with us on YouTube as well. So we apparently have some feed issues with Facebook tonight. Jess and Rico are on with us. So we'll see how that plays out. Ironhead Garage is on with us. Apparently we don't have any feed issues on YouTube so far. We haven't had any complaints there, but we do have some issues with Facebook tonight apparently. William from Pennsylvania is on. Glad you made it. So hopefully things will keep working. We'll keep our fingers crossed. We are getting some comments on Facebook as well, so maybe that's cleaning itself up and starting to work as well. So, but anyway, went through some of the results from Meekum. Did look like a strong sale. As always, a lot of the muscle car stuff was strong. A lot of stuff that, we're still keep seeing that 70s, 80s, even some of the 90s stuff start ticking up. Good, clean, original stuff is starting to bring some strong money. It's kind of interesting to see how some of these shifts are coming into play. I got my good buddy Robert on. Glad you made it. Don says he's on Facebook, but he's having trouble with there, so he's on YouTube and Facebook apparently. So, like I said, I don't know what's up with Facebook tonight. Everything seems to be working on my end. Vermont's on. There's Steven's on with us on Facebook as well. So we'll have to try to bear with the system and see what it's going to give us tonight. So, Adam's looking to buy a 96 Camaro with a V6 in it, non-runner, and he doesn't know what's wrong with it. David W's on with us. Glad you made it, David. Adam, I don't know what that stuff is doing over in the UK. I mean, I'm sure they're not extremely common over there, but that doesn't. As long as the car's clean, that doesn't sound like it's too far out of whack. if it's a clean paint body and interior and it just needs something to get it running again, hopefully that's Dan said they've been having Facebook issues in his area, and I believe he's in Ohio. So maybe we've got some feed issues on Facebook tonight. Not really sure what's going on there at all. So, but there was some cool stuff that went through Mecum, some different stuff. They had one thing that did kind of stand out was somebody took like a 78, 79 era Bronco right there when they switched from the old original Bronco and just made for a year or two, made one similar to the 73, 79 Ford pickup. Somebody took one of those and put like a 2019 front end and interior in it from a King Ranch interior, like a 2019 Ford pickup front end on it. Pretty nice looking truck. Looked like it was pretty well done, and apparently it was because it brought like $173,000. So it was neat. I mean, I looked through some of the pictures. That was kind of a cool one. Old School is on from Canada. Glad you made it, Old School. So, as always, some really cool stuff to look through. Do I sell oil cans on eBay? I don't sell any oil cans really at all. The only thing I've really got on eBay is parts. I don't have any cans on there. So, most of the cans I've got, I either keep for my own collection, or if they're duplicates, I give them to you guys. So. But overall, looked like it was a very strong sale. And one thing I did notice when you go through the results, seemed like a very, very high sell-through rate. Not a lot of stuff on the bid goes on that I noticed on Mecum this time. So, obviously that kind of tells you it was a pretty strong sale. When there's not a lot that went to bid goes on, they probably had pretty good action and hammering that much stuff. Barrett-Jackson starts this week. One thing I did kind of notice about Barrett-Jackson, they're not starting until Tuesday. This is supposed to have been their big January sale that got moved to March. Typically, I thought that started, like the Saturday or Sunday before the big weekend and went, for the whole week. This time, they're not starting until Tuesday for some reason. I don't know if there was, if they just didn't pull the cars like they typically do in January or something like that, or if they just decided to shorten it up. To avoid any potential, government parameters for events or something like that. But I thought it was kind of odd that they are not starting until Tuesday this time. But hey, at least there's stuff going on. We can flip on TV or flip on, even get the live feeds of the auction and watch them. So, Mud Boy's back. Glad you made it this time. But like I said, at least there's activity. There's possibility of things happening. There's a possibility of events to go to, things to do, things to see. Going to be new information out there, cool stuff going on, and things to go out and do and see and things like that. And that's the whole point. I mean, Facebook is still having problems, so we may have some issues there. That we're still fighting there. eBay user ID is nobody else's auto. It's just real simple that way. I just switched to nobody else's auto, so that way it all ties together and it's easy to find. So here's what. So at least, like I said, there's activity out there. There's lots of cool things happening, and stuff to do at least. So. Keep our fingers crossed that continues. I did, my buddy Robert did find out for sure that we do have confirmation that the Lawrence Swap Meet is a go, April 30th, May 1st, May 2nd. So that's something else that's going to be out there that we can actually go to. Ark City Swap Meet is still a go. That's the two that are coming up in Kansas. That's all I know about right now. But if there's something else out there, by all means, let me know and we'll sure talk about it. Something in your area, we may have some other people on there that maybe somebody in this that's on is in your area that wants to know about it. So if you know of a swap meet car show, be sure to go ahead and throw it up there, and we can get it out to everybody. Nothing else on Facebook since Glenn mentioned that they are having problems. So maybe it is a feed issue there, and everything seems to be rolling fine on my side on Facebook. So. Maybe YouTube is so far going to roll okay. But anyway, this week I was out on the road again. Finally got out to do some stuff, which was kind of cool. And it was spring break. Dan, prices seem to be up and steady. Yeah, and that's, like I said, my buddy Jim Wicks was there, and he said it was a strong sale. And like I said, when you don't see a lot of stuff rolling to the bid goes on Meekum, that's a good sign that they had a strong sale. And that's been going on ever since the auctions opened back up again last summer. Everything's been solid. So, I mean, I think people just want to go out and do something and enjoy cars and have fun. James is back from Texas. Glad you made it tonight, James. But lots of things rolling on. And we'll keep our fingers crossed that they continue. But like I said, I was finally out on the road, got to go out and get out and go do some stuff. We just got away for a few days. I basically work 7 days a week, so getting a little bit of a break, is big for me. And we took the opportunity, since it's finally, things were opening up, to get out and go do something. So we went down to Oklahoma, and Classic Ride Society made it tonight. Glad you made it tonight, Classic Ride Society. It's on YouTube. But went down and checked out some museums in Oklahoma, went down to Oklahoma City and saw a couple things, and a couple of non-car things that we did. We stopped at the Sam Noble Museum in Oklahoma City, and I just wasn't that impressed with that. It was, a big, huge, fancy building, and the displays was not impressive. So, and maybe that's my personal opinion, but it's just wasn't that impressed with it. One place we did stop at that was pretty cool, that kind of surprised me. They have a bone museum, the Museum of Osteology, that had all kinds of different skeletons in it from all kinds of different animals, and was really cool. It was very fascinating. They had great displays, tons of good content, so that was pretty neat stuff. There's a place we've always wanted to go in Oklahoma that we headed to after that, and it's a little place in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Adam was just watching Classic Ride Society stuff, so we got a great group on here that everybody's checking out each other's stuff. Lots of cool stuff going on, and lots of cool car content. That's why we're here. So, but we headed over towards Tulsa to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. We stopped in Sapulpa. I've got a buddy in Sapulpa who I sold him a truck 4, 5, 6 years ago. Had a '54 Dodge milk truck. It was a Dodge chassis, cowl, and front clip that had a box on the back. Still had a little bit of the dairy lettering on it. I sold it to a guy by the name of Michael Jones down there, and we've stayed in touch and become pretty good friends in Sapulpa. He actually has a company where he makes a lot of man cave stuff, and he makes a lot of really cool stuff. It all comes out of his head, and he's a gearhead, so it's not coming from some designer in New York City. So, he goes under Gasoline Alley Classics. You want to check his stuff out. But I knew he was working on this building. And since we were going to be going through there, I wanted to stop and check it out and say hi. He's actually got a building that was a Model T dealership / assembly plant. Years ago, the Model Ts actually would come in pieces, and the dealers would have to assemble them. This one was actually set up as a mini plant when they would unload them off the rail car and then put the bodies on the chassis. And then it was a dealership. And he's in this, not only was it a Model T dealership, it is a half a block off of the actual Route 66. So he is revamping and restoring this dealership. Tons of cool stuff inside of it, of this old building. And it's going to be his showroom for Gasoline Alley Classics. Some awesome stuff in there. We shot some video there. We'll be bringing you in the near future, but it was great to see him. And you can always check him. Look up his milk truck. He calls it the low fat Dodge, low fat milk truck, '54 Dodge. So that came out really cool. He put it on like an '05 Dodge pickup chassis, and he drives the wheels off that thing. So James says we've still got problems on Facebook. So I don't know if what's going on over there. Maybe we did, if YouTube still seems to be rolling, and so hopefully that is still clicking along, and it's just a Facebook system issue that we're fighting over there. So after we hung out with Michael for a while, yeah, Classic Ride Side says New York City reminded the old salsa commercial about getting stuff out of New York City. So, but that's what's cool about what Michael designs and what he makes. It comes out of his mind, and he's a car guy, gearhead, and so it's designed for us, for our type of people. So, but after we stopped seeing Michael for a while, we headed on over to Broken Arrow to the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory. The Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company. And if you're on Facebook, if it's still working at all, be sure to check those guys out under Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company. And they actually, and there's so much to this. And we shot a ton of cool video while we're there that we're going to be putting out over the next several weeks. Right now, they are a restoration shop, as well as a blast company. They have a blasting company with multiple mediums to strip paint and strip material. But where it started at was in 1960. I was dealing with Doug Prey, who runs it now, and that's who I met this week. His dad, Glenn Prey, in 1960, he bought the remainder of what was the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company that went bankrupt in 1938. A gentleman had bought it out of bankruptcy, and he'd been selling the parts and servicing the cars up, for about 20 years, up through the late 50s, when Doug's dad, Glenn, went in and literally, and it's a phenomenal story. And you've got to get the books if this is interesting to you. And Doug's going to share some of the stories with us on the videos that we shot while we were there. But his dad basically walked in and bought the remains of the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company, the parts inventory, the name. So fascinating story. Had a great time there. Let's see. Old School says, check out the YouTube video tour of Happy Hippie Horsepower Haven. I haven't seen that one. But that sounds like a pretty cool video to check out with an awesome car collection. My buddy Bill switched over to YouTube as well. Mick made it. Glad you made it back, Mick. Don on Facebook says you can switch over to YouTube and still comment on Facebook, but listen on YouTube without. Okay, so that's right, because you don't have to join YouTube. You don't have to sign up for YouTube or create an account. You can just jump over and punch it up and walk. So that's a great idea, Don. You can jump on there and watch, and still comment on Facebook if you don't have a YouTube account. So Joel, our friend George, jumped on this on Facebook. When am I going to finish the F-body section? I haven't done anything in the F-body section in a long time. Part of the reason is part of my fence blew down, and it's laying on top of part of them. And I'm trying to get all my new fence posts painted so that I can get the new fence, get those set and get the new fence up. So part of my F-bodies are covered in chunks of fence that have blown down and are laying on top of them. So that's part of the problem, Adam, to be honest with you, is I got to get my new fence up and get all the fence panels off of part of the F-bodies. But we had a great time at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory. Doug Prey was outstanding and more than hospitable. We spent 2.5 days there. I thought we were going to stop by for a couple hours and check it out. Was there for 2.5 days. Doug was so cordial. He shot a ton of videos with us that we're going to be putting out. Vic's on, but it's still glitching. Vic, everybody's switching to YouTube because they've got a better feed over there. So my buddy Mike says Facebook not working like Texas played basketball last night. So I'll have to take your word for it. I don't watch basketball, but apparently Texas didn't play very well last night, if he's comparing that to how Facebook is working. And like I said, Facebook on my end is ticking. It's giving me my metrics and everything as we're rolling. So it shows that it's working, but that doesn't mean anything on your guys' end. But it was so cool and so awesome to see the restorations they have there, to see their restoration facility. Some of the cars they had there were absolutely amazing. Like I said, I've got tons. We shot like a dozen videos just there, plus a few more videos over at another guy's house that not only did Doug's dad buy the factory and buy all the parts and deal the parts, he actually remanufactured the cars, continuation series of the cars. They weren't replicas because he owned the company and he owned the name. So they were continuation cars. They developed a new cord that they made in the mid 60s. And then they also, after the cord situation, which there again, you can have to read the books, and we'll get into some of that and some of the stories and some of the videos. He actually reintroduced the Auburn Boattail Speedsters. Fascinating stories. Like I said, tons of video that we shot that Doug was kind enough to share with us. share his dad's stories. And like I said, be sure to check him out on Facebook under Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company. ACDfactory.com is their website. Check those guys out. Tons of content coming from them. And I'm sure some of you guys are wondering, yeah, I brought some stuff home from there too. So we got some really, really cool memorabilia. We're going to be working into Toy Tuesday coming up. Let's see. James is back on. Glad you made it, James. So the next couple of Toy Tuesdays, I'm going to have some pretty interesting stuff that we added to our collection that I'm really excited about, that we got from the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory while we were there. And like I said, I know I've got a dozen or 14 videos from there. There's a couple things I need to clean up, but for the most part, we got it's about ready to go. So I'm really excited to put some of that content out there. It's different stuff that a lot of us don't ever get to see. David W. is already looking forward to it. So super excited and glad that you're excited about it too. It was an amazing experience. It was so cool. They had a Cord Berlin there that they had just restored that was about a 990 some point car on a 1,000-point scale. Beautiful car, absolutely stunning car. The Cord 810 and 812, most of us are familiar with, commonly known as the coffin nose cord. The Berlin was the top of the line coffin nose cord, and just a stunning car. They had another cord in there they were doing some work on for a customer. They had some Auburn restorations, in progress. One of the big, huge straight 8, one with a V12 Auburn engine. Like I said, just amazing stuff that you just don't see. It's just, you don't see it at your cruise night. You just don't see it because there just aren't that many of them out there. And I didn't realize the coffin nose cords, all of them, the convertibles, all the way to the 4 doors, the Berlins, everything, they made a little less than 3,000 cars total, period. That was it. So just not a lot of them out there. So to be able to go in there and see them and experience them, see the technology that these cars had in them in the mid-30s was amazing. And I'm sure most of you do know that the coffin nose cord was front-wheel drive in the mid-30s, which was pretty amazing. However, and this is something that I wasn't aware of, I kind of knew a little bit about it, but not very much. They were a 4-speed manual transmission, but they were front-wheel drive with a transaxle. So obviously, being front-wheel drive with a transaxle, it's kind of tough to have a lever sticking up through the floor to shift the car, like basically everything in the 30s did. Even the luxury cars in the 30s still had basically a floor shift, lever just sticking out of the top of the transmission right through the floor. So on this one, and we've got a bunch of video on it, because the transmission was mounted in front of the engine with the transaxle, and that ran the front wheel drive system. Well, obviously, you can't have a lever sticking through the floor when your transmission is clear out underneath the radiator. So they actually had one in there, and they had the covers off of it, and we actually got some footage of that transmission shifting. And Doug actually walked us through the process of how those transmissions shifted. And it is so cool. This is mid-30s technology, and it was electric over vacuum on how they shifted. We've got some footage of it shifting. They had some remanufactured transmissions sitting there ready to go to customers. Doug walked us through the parts of the transmission, and what it took to make those things shift was amazing. So it was pretty cool, and we've got a lot of video on that. He had an engine and transmission on a stand for a cord, a supercharged one. So not only did we get to see one shift, not only did we get to see a remanufactured transmission ready to go to a car, we saw the entire assembly, engine, transmission, and everything sitting on a stand, and he walked us through all of it. So there's just some super cool stuff. Buddy Mike says it's similar to a new John Deere tractor. Okay, well, I'm not familiar with that, so I'm glad you filled us in on that. They're kind of still doing similar type stuff to what Cord developed back in the mid-30s. So it's really cool stuff that you just don't get to see. And it's because there's just not that many of them out there. They had some other restored cars that we got to see that we did video on. A 29 Auburn Boattail Speedster that was done, an absolutely stunning, and I mean stunning, 1934 Auburn, big, huge Phaeton 4-door convertible. Just you talk about the definition of an Art Deco car, and this thing it is. I mean, it's right up there with a Duesenberg. Just beautiful. So, like I said, so much stuff there to see, and we're going to be bringing you a ton of video from there. But it was a great time. Like I said, I can't tell her how easy they were to get along with, easy to work with, and the time they took with us, and the time they spent to let me shoot video to be able to bring this stuff to you guys and let you see it and check it out was amazing. So, Destroyer 1320, he's new, but he is going to Barrett next week. So maybe you can jump on with us next Sunday night, Destroyer 1320, and tell us what you saw. My buddy Jim Wicks is going to be there also, so I'll check with him. But yeah, by all means, if you're going to go there, let us know what you see or what stood out to you next week. But that was definitely the highlight of the week. It was an amazing time. We're going to be bringing you a lot of stuff from there, and like I said, probably quite a bit of stuff over the future. So. Let's see. My buddy Mike, he must be on this basketball kick. Texas Tech just blew it, so I don't know. I don't watch basketball, so not much that I have no idea what's going on. Destroyer 1320. I haven't even gone through the whole list as far as everything that's going to be there. But see something cool, just let us know. See something that could have stood out, be sure to jump on with us and let us know. That's why we're on here talking about old cars. It's all of us hanging out, just having a good time. So be sure to check out the ACD Factory. Check out the Auburn Core Duesenberg Company Facebook page. I'm going to be helping those guys do a lot of that stuff coming up too. So we're going to be doing some cool things. They've got a blasting company that, not just sand blasting, which everybody thinks of. They use all kinds of different mediums so they can do sheet metal without damaging it. So they even blasted piano keys without damaging them. So lots of cool stuff there. And tons of cool videos that we got. And I can't wait for you guys to see them. I hope you guys enjoy them as much as I enjoyed shooting them because, like I said, it's just stuff we don't see. It's so different. The technology, I mean, these were the premier luxury cars of the 30s. And we got kind of a behind-the-scenes look at some ongoing restorations and some finished cars. Plus, their parts inventory is amazing. A lot of it is still new. Brand new from the factory from the 30s, tons of new old stock that they moved from Auburn, Indiana to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma in 1960. So Destroyer 1320 is going to be live there Tuesday. So be sure to check Destroyer 1320 out on YouTube, see what he's got going on live from Barrett. Adam Spitfire, just saw the 92 Caprice Classic. It is a nice car. Like I said, it's going to be for sale here pretty quick. So after I get a couple things fixed. So, I mean, we can ship that over to you too, Adam, if you like that one. So anyway, that was part of my excitement for the week. And like I said, as I start putting the videos out, you guys will see more of that. And I hope you like them. I really do, because it was great. And the time they spent, and just, like I said, that stuff has never been in my wheelhouse because you just don't see it. You just don't see it anything. So that's what I loved about it. Haven't had any comments on Facebook in a while, so I don't know if we're still hung up over there or not. We do still have some people on there. A lot of you have moved over to YouTube, and so far it still seems to be working. So we're just going to keep rolling, and hopefully it's clearing up. Next weekend, hopefully going to be in Kansas City. We're going to try to make World of Wheels in Kansas City. So if you're going to be at World of Wheels in Kansas City, be sure to look me up. I don't know what day for sure we're going, but I'm going to try to make one of those days. It's just going to see how this week pans out as to when I can get up there. But definitely want to try to do that. May try to shoot a little bit of content there, check and see if we got some cool stuff there that we can check out. The other interesting thing this week, and a lot of you may have seen it, and I don't know if all of you did or not. It kind of surprised me, but I got a call last Monday from Hot Rod Magazine that wanted to do a feature on the yard. So they put it together a great article and put it on hotrod.com and got it. It seemed to be pretty popular. The guy that wrote it said he did very well. He did a very good job on the article as well. I was very pleased. A lot of times you're kind of kind of concerned about what they put out there, but he did a good job. He talked to me on the phone quite a while, and it seemed like he took some pretty good notes because we had a pretty good long conversation before he put the article together, and I thought he did a great job. So I was really excited about that. Rico says it is buffering some in Kansas City, so I don't know if Facebook is still the numbers keep dropping on Facebook, so we must still have some feed issue problems on Facebook. But that was pretty cool to have Hot Rod contact me and want to do an article about the yard. So huge shout out to those guys. Can't thank them enough, and they did a great job. So Adam's going to jump off. We're glad you hung out with us for a while, Adam. I know it's late in the UK, and so I'm super glad you stayed up and hung out with us for a while. That's pretty awesome that you stay up in the middle of the night in the UK to hang out with us on Sunday nights. So I was pretty excited about the hot rod article. I don't know if it'll actually make the print issue or not. Who knows? But just the fact that they actually took the time to recognize me and put something together was awesome. So be sure to check that out. You can check it out at hotrod.com. I've shared it on my Facebook pages, the Nobody Show page, the Nobody Else's Auto page. It is also on Hot Rod's Facebook page too. So be sure to check those out. And like I said, it was just cool to see it. I was like, that was kind of neat to have those guys call me up and say, "Hey, we've seen what you're doing, and we like it." So that was something I was not expecting, but it was pretty cool. So. Anyway, that's kind of what I had cooking for tonight on what I've been up to and what I saw in industry news this week. So let's get into tonight's magazine. Some really cool stuff to check out in there. And then we will do trivia. We'll do new inventory. We got all kinds of cool stuff coming up. We've got the badge raffle to talk about and lots of stuff going on. So we're going to get into tonight's magazine, which is the February 1969 issue of Car Life. It's got a Grand Prix on the front. The cover on this one is loose, so we're going to have to be careful with it as we check it out. But like I said, there was some neat stuff in it. I was pretty impressed with it. So let's check some of this stuff out and see what was going on in 1969 with some of our favorite cars. And we're going to start off with the Grand Prix. The Grand Prix was on the cover because it earned Car Life's 1969 Engineering Excellence Award. Nice big color photo of it. And actually a lot about the Grand Prix in this article. And I believe 69 is when they changed body styles, went more to the A-body platform versus the big car platform, if I remember correctly. But, tons of stuff on the Grand Prix. Definitely something that, Pontiac couldn't have bought the advertising for the coverage and exposure that they got. However, not only did it cover the Grand Prix, it did, breakdowns on the systems and everything. They kind of rolled with the entire thing as a kind of a personal luxury car type issue, because after the Grand Prix, they did give specs on the Grand Prix, performance specs and everything. So they did a pretty in-depth full coverage on the car and gave it a ton of coverage that month. But as far as rolling into the personal luxury area, they also did the Riviera, which, obviously was a great car. And they did a pretty full write-up on the Riviera, going into all the specs on those cars as well. Obviously, the 69 Riviera was a 430 powered car and definitely a luxury cruiser. And then after the Riviera, they even went to the Thunderbird. So like I said, they kind of had a theme going with the personal luxury, the sportier personal luxury type cars. So that was kind of the big theme, I guess, and even did, the road tests on the Thunderbird as well. So everybody had a pretty good comparison if you were, in kind of the sporty luxury market at that time. Another article they had that was kind of interesting was they also did the 1969 Super Bee in this issue. And they've got entitled Super Bee right out of the box. The Super Bee lives up to its decals. It's a honey of a low budget supercar. So there again, some 60s theme in the 60s, text in that theme there to come up with that. But it was a fairly in-depth article. Ted's excited to get his Skylark out too. And that's, like I said, the spring's coming around the corner. But they did do a full write-up on the Super Bee as well with the road tests and everything. I knew that'd get my buddy Mike's attention. He's loved Super Bees for a long time. I don't think I've ever seen you post a heart on anything, dude. So, but pretty good article on that as well. Classic Ride Society. Hot Rod should do a video at your yard. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, they'd be more than welcome. You couldn't beat that. And you need some 70 Pontiac big car stuff. I've got one Catalina and 2 or 3 Bonnevilles and 70 Pontiac big cars. So yeah, if you ever want to come up and check some of that stuff out, just give me a shout and we can sure see if there's anything on those cars that you can use. Ironhead Garage, not low budget no more. Well, I'm still low budget because it's just because I did an article on you don't mean you ain't still low budget. So Lance says his grandma still has one of those Thunderbirds. There again, there's a lot of that cool stuff out there, and those were cars that were overlooked for a lot of years. But some of this stuff is really starting to get some of the attention it finally deserves. And you'll have to excuse me for a second. I'm still kind of in shock that my buddy Mike posted 8 hearts on his post. So the Super Bee thing really got him wound up. But anyway, some other cool articles they had. Chris used to have a 69 Super Bee. That's pretty cool too. But another interesting article in this issue of Car Life was on tax, and it had all kinds of different aftermarket tax that were available, and I actually talked about the different companies, the different ones. I thought that was really cool. They had an entire article just on tax. You got to remember, tax were just starting to become commonplace in the 60s, and as performance changed, and a whole article on which tack to buy. Ironhead Garage says he's still low budget. So am I. So don't worry about it. That's why we're all here together. So, but it actually gave an entire breakdown of all those tacks, the type, whether it was electric or mechanical, the price, the application, the mounting, the face size, the sweep, and the RPM scale. On all these different tacks. I mean, literally a buyer's guide for tachometers, aftermarket tachometers. So it's kind of funny. Ted was worried about getting a 66 Skylark out, and Classic Ride Society is actually working on his 66 special as we're on here live. So, but that's what's great. That's what's so awesome about what we do here is there's so much of us that are here doing the same thing and what we love and talking about what we love. And even talked about the installation of an aftermarket tack, gave tips of how to mount, where to mount, how to run things, stuff like that. So Ironhead Garage is running a Green Line Sun tack in his 55 gasser. See if there's one of those on here. I don't see one on here. Maybe that was a little bit earlier version, but don't see one of that one here, but that's cool. Don't matter. They're still cool. And that's one thing about it. That's why the article stood out, because there was so much different cool stuff with the pictures and the different faces and things like that. Last car we're going to look at in tonight's issue was a Mustang, but it was not just your typical Mustang. This was the Mustang Grande they did an article on. Ironhead Garage says it is a 60s era tack. But yeah, this is 69. It's this magazine, so was definitely an earlier one than here. But the Mustang Grande, once again, kind of more of the luxury coupe Mustang versus the strictly performance or budget minded jump around Mustang. The Grande was more of the luxury version of it, so kind of fits right in with the theme, or was designed to be a little bit more upscale or kind of a fancier one. And it once again went into all the details with the tests and everything on the 69 Mustang Grande. So that's kind of what we had for articles. Let's get into some ads from 1969. And once again, tons of great ads. This one, obviously, this magazine, Car Life, dealt with obviously new cars at the time. So we've got a lot more new vehicle ads in here than we see in some of the hot rods and things like that. But that's what's so great about grabbing a different magazine every week. We see different types of ads as well as the different types of articles. So, but it's still, obviously, it's all a look back in time. Let's check out a few ads. And this ad we've got to show this ad. It's not a big, fancy, colorful ad. It's not super cool, but I knew it's one that we had to see because it's probably affected every single person that's on here with us right now. And that is an Mpc Model Kit ad. There's probably not anybody on here with us that hasn't built model kits. So the fact that, and what I thought was kind of interesting is they even had the 69 Grand Prix model kit in the ad for Mpc. So, the models, I seriously doubt that many of us on here have not done something with model cars in our lives. So that's why that ad definitely stood out. Let's see. Another cool ad. This was a beautiful 2-page color ad on the new Shelby. Great looking ad, lots of color, big 2-page ad. And what really stood out to me about this ad was obviously they're promoting the Shelby, but I know you can't read the fine print over here, but it actually listed by state the Shelby dealers. So you knew where to go to check out a new Shelby. So that I thought was kind of cool that they actually listed the dealer bodies of where you could get one, since you couldn't just go get one anywhere. Just like when we look at Kansas, they only listed one in Topeka, Nolar Motors in Topeka, Kansas. The only thing they listed in Topeka or in Kansas. So I thought that ad was pretty cool. Next ad we're going to check out. And I guess they probably figured, since they had like 10 free pages of ads in the magazine this month, Pontiac probably figured they ought to at least buy one. So, which they did. Also a beautiful 2-page full color ad for the Grand Prix. Great looking ad, and definitely shows off the car and the beautiful lines of the car. And if you look closely, something you didn't see very often on a Grand Prix that was very common, obviously, on GTOs was the hood tack. So I thought that really stood out. You never really saw Grand Prix with a hood tack, but they used one in this copy of the magazine for this print ad with a hood tack. Something else that really stood out as far as ads that was kind of different, and this really surprised me. I had to look at this for a second to even figure out what it was. It's a GM ad, and I saw the GM block in it, but it was literally a stereo ad. And like I said, it kind of surprised me. I had to study it for a second. Test drive a 1969 stereo. And it literally talked about the new AC Delco radios available in the 1969 GM cars. So I was like, wow, that was kind of weird to actually do an ad, a full page print ad, just on AC Delco stereos. Another cool ad, and this one was also a nice, big, beautiful 2-page color ad, was for the Ford Torino. They've got a picture of a Cobra Jet car as well as a stock car Torino. And it's a great looking ad. They did a great job on this ad. It definitely stands out. Great colors, lots of different colors, and a beautiful piece to help promote and advertise the Torino with a 428 Cobra Jet car down there, showing their performance model against the backdrop of a they have a full-blown Torino race car. So that ad definitely stood out with the colors and the content on that one. The last ad we're going to look at, then we're going to check out a couple of classifieds, and then we're going to move on into some other stuff. The back cover was a Chevrolet ad, good color, and definitely, and they put it on the back cover to kind of wrap the issue up. But their tagline was, "We'll take on any other two cars in the magazine." And they had a 69 RSSS Camaro and a 69 Corvette, both in orange, on the back cover. So good looking ad. And like I said, put it on the back cover, so we'll take on anything else in the magazine. So I thought that was interesting the way that they did that and put that together. So Classic Ride Society, and I guarantee you're exactly right. They were just trying to get you to upgrade stereos instead of just sticking with the base stereo or none. They wanted you to order their Delco units, pay extra for the upgrade. Guarantee you're 100% right, Classic Ride Society. And thanks for bringing that up, because that's got to be where they were going with that. Make somebody run a specific ad just for the radio so people are thinking about that when they go to buy a new car. So great point. And that's, like I said, that's why I keep telling you guys that's what's so great about the group we've got on here. All these different minds thinking about different things and about how it works, and that's what's so cool about it. This issue didn't have a lot of classified ads in it, but it did have some. A couple cool things that we're going to point out. 1955 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, mechanically excellent and very clean. Cars in daily use, a lot more car than you would expect for $595. So thought that was interesting that you could buy a nice clean used 55 Coupe de Ville for $595. The next ad I thought was even a little bit better, though. And we're going to switch to Lincoln from Cadillac for this next classified ad. And this sounds like a heck of a deal. 1955 Lincoln convertible. Power windows, power seat, new top, new paint, new mufflers and pipes, good leather, complete engine overhaul, great road car, drive anywhere. Now, they were firm on their price, but they were dead set firm on that $500 that they wanted for that 1955 Lincoln convertible. Like I said, just crazy to think about. At the time, it was a 14-year-old used car, and not extremely desirable. But that's what is so cool about going back and taking these snapshots and these glimpses back into time. Our good friend William's on. Yeah, he liked the Mpc ad as well. That's what I had to do it. And he used to buy the magazines for the ads too. That's why I had to do the Mpc ad, because the model car kits, they affected all of us. There's, like I said, I don't know a car person who hasn't liked models and toys and been involved with them in some way, shape, or form. So glad you guys like that too. I definitely wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. So that's why I thought, even though it wasn't a new car ad, it was such a great ad that we had to go with it. But so that's what we've got for the February 1969 issue of Car Life. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and we'll have a different magazine next week. And hope you guys are still enjoying checking out that stuff. Speaking of ads, Classic Ride Society likes to look at old Auto Traders. An exact same thing. The old Auto Traders from 20, 30 years ago, checking out what prices were back then compared to what we see today. It's crazy to think about, and it is entertaining. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It is definitely entertaining. So, who's ready for some trivia? I assume we're still having a ton of trouble on Facebook because the numbers continue to drop, and we haven't had any comments on there in quite a while. So YouTube seems to be working and seems to be rolling fine. So as always, I will keep an eye on both formats for the winner, and the first correct answer that I see will be our winner tonight. We've got another oil can tonight. This is a cardboard can as well. But man, these cardboard cans, like we talked about, they're not going to last. They're at this point 30 or 40 years old. They will literally fall apart if they're not well taken care of. At least the metal cans from back in the day, they would hold up. The cardboard cans are just going to disintegrate. So what we've got tonight is a Chevron can, Chevron Delo 400, lots of colors, gold and white with the red and blue chevron, sharp can. And so I'm going to send this out to the winner, whoever is the first answer I see with the correct answer in tonight's trivia. Joe says Facebook feed is still sucky tonight. So, yeah, Joe, most people have jumped over to YouTube at this point. We do still have a few people on Facebook. No idea what's going on with Facebook tonight. Everything on my end is still ticking. The feed shows it's going okay. It's still feeding me live data metrics while we're on. So I don't know what it's doing, but it's obviously been a mess tonight. Old School says he left Facebook long ago. No regrets. So, but tonight's trivia. If you caught Toy Tuesday last Tuesday night, we talked about a bunch of factory Ford training albums and film strips. Some pretty cool stuff and some neat things in there that my dad actually gave my daughter for Christmas a couple years ago. So it was some neat stuff, but there was one side of those albums that dealt strictly with the Mercury. What year was the Mercury that training album was for? So I'm keeping an eye on both formats just in case Facebook does pop up and start working. But we'll see who gets that, and we're going to send this Chevron can out to them. Actually, when we were in Oklahoma last week, we stopped at another guy's shop, and Jess got it tonight in 1940. She was right on that one. So Jess is going to get tonight's can. We'll get that on the way to her. Mick said 55, so right after that, but the answer was 1940. All those film strips were 1938 to 1941 era. All those albums and film strips were some really great stuff. And we tried to, I don't know how well you guys could see the film strip on the video, but we tried to unroll one of the film strip that was a 1940 Ford car training film strip. We stretched it out, kind of held it up to the light, and you can see the coupe and the two-door sedan, and it was really cool. So neat stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, lots of cool stuff coming up on Toy Tuesday that I was able to add to my collection last week. Really excited to bring you some of that stuff. So we'll have that coming up. Raffle time. Like I said, we've still got Jess got her present from Rico. Last time Rico was out here, he picked up a can rack that he gave Jess for a gift. So glad that this can's already got a new home on her new can rack. Like we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, and we've got a couple more weeks to go on this one. Like we do on Toy Tuesday, typically we always look at a handful of badges out of my badge box. Love badges, love the enamel badges from the 20s and 30s. So cool. The company logos, the companies a lot of times we've never even heard of. So I'm going to give you a starter pack of badges this week or this month. I believe I'm planning on drawing on April the 3rd. Yes, April the 3rd is when we will draw. And that is going to be a Sunday night, and we will draw on that on April 3rd, and then we will also announce the April drawing at the same time. So what we're doing this month, the badges, we'll show them to you all real quick. Again, I've got pictures posted, but I want everybody to see them. Plymouth Badge, nice lettering with a chipped ship, and it is a screw-on back. Dodge Brothers, this one's kind of rough, but it's such a great badge, even though it's a rough one. You know, it has the star on it. It has the Dodge Brothers lettering on it. We've still got some. Once again, this is definitely chipped up. We've still got some of the red and orange in there, but a cool old Oldsmobile badge. A Ford, the typical oval Ford that everybody's very familiar with. A couple of chips on the edges, but nice lettering and deep blue color on that one. Chevrolet 1929 to 1931 era Chevrolet badge, some chipping across the top, but overall nice deep colors and good lettering and a nice bow tie on that one. A nice Buick, great lettering, great color on this one as well. And a gorgeous triple diamond International. So those are the badges that I'm going to be shipping to somebody here in a couple of weeks. If you haven't got your chances, be sure to PayPal me, or you can mail it to me. William's got to jump off for a minute. He's got to try to get something snagged on eBay. Hey, I don't blame you. If you got to try to get something bought that's about ready to go off, I don't blame you. Make sure you try to get that bought. And if you get it bought, jump on and let us know if you got something cool for still on. But anyway, that's what we've got for the badge raffle. Here is who is in. If you think you have PayPal me or sent me something and I do not read your name off, I have not gotten it. So if I don't read your name off and you've paid me, be sure to get a hold of me. Ironhead's a fan of the Chevy and the International one, and I think you're already in it, Ironhead. We'll see if I remember correctly. Scott Andrews is in. Chris Powers is in. Jason Withrow. Jess is in. Lance Smith is in. George Collada is in. Terry Hewlett is in. Lee Carr is in. And Seth Russell is in. And Greg Myers are all in. So if you have paid me, read your name, there's a glitch somewhere, or if you mailed it, I have not gotten it yet. Everything in this packet is already in the big Buick can. We're already piling them in there. All those names that I just read off are already in here right now, ready to go. So everybody that I read off has already been processed and put in the can, ready for a couple of weeks. So if I didn't read your name off and you have paid, let me know. If you want to get in and you have not yet, the PayPal address and the mailing information are on the posts for both Facebook and YouTube, so you can be sure to find me there. Old School wants my Buick can. That's probably not going to happen. The reason I'm using the Buick can for the raffle is because it's one of my favorite cans, and it is a beautiful can. Great colors. My dad found about a half a dozen of these in an old repair shop about 10 years ago. So it's been one of my favorite cans. Obviously, if you've been hanging out with me for a while on here, you know I cut my teeth on Buick parts. That's what my dad did. That's where I learned what I kind of do. So, I mean, the crest, the letters, obviously the iconic Buick coloring, it's a great piece, and it's definitely one of my favorites. So, Old School said he hadn't even seen one before. So, yeah, that's why I'm using it. It's one of my favorites, and I love it. So that's why I'm using it for the raffle. New inventory, believe it or not, I actually did pick up a truck today. Didn't think we were going to have any new inventory to talk about because I was out on the road most of the week, but I did go get one truck today. Picked up a 1941 Ford commercial truck, 1.5 tons, the commercial chassis with the different front clip, totally different than the half-ton pickup, but a lot of cool parts and a neat old truck. It is a chassis cab. There's no bed on it since it was a 1.5 tons. Truck looks really solid. Grill's damaged, which is pretty common for those commercial trucks, but pretty much all there, and a lot of good stuff on it and very minimal rust. So we'll be bringing you a new inventory video on that, as well as some pictures for the Facebook page at some point. 1941, they made cars and trucks, must be limited production. Actually, Old School, 1941 was a full production year. 1942 was a very shortened production run. And then the last 2 or 3 months of production was when they did the blackouts. So 1942 was the year of the very short production run. 1941 was a full run, but 42 was when they went to was when the year got cut off short. And then, like I said, they went into the blackout models. And I actually do have a blackout Chevy out in the yard. So I don't know if we've ever actually done an entire video on that blackout Chevy though. But that might be something kind of interesting as well. To talk about those blackout cars, because that's such a neat thing to talk about in a period in history, and something a lot of people haven't even been familiar with. A lot of people may have heard of a blackout car, but a lot of people haven't seen a blackout car. It's kind of rough, but it is an actual blackout model 42 Chevy. So we may have to do a video on that one and check it out as well. What's coming up this week, video-wise, obviously, lots of stuff. I shot a ton of stuff from the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory. I will probably just, kind of feed that out once a week, one video a week, and mix it in with my other stuff. I don't want to completely overwhelm you guys with just Auburn Cord stuff from the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory. but it was such a great time, and I can't believe they took the time that they spent with us to do these videos and explain so much of this stuff that most people just don't get to see. So definitely stay tuned. And Doug shared some great stories about his dad, about how he ended up literally buying the factory on a borrowed $20 bill, and so much cool stuff there. So I'll start feeding, definitely going to start feeding some of those out. Had a ton of new inventory come in that we haven't done videos on yet. Got to do some new videos on some of that stuff. Was hoping to have some of that stuff shot this weekend, but it was so windy that even my windsock wouldn't have stopped it. So hopefully going to be getting some more cool stuff shot on some of this new inventory that's been coming in, and show you guys some of that stuff. There's some stuff I brought in a couple weeks ago that I literally drug it off the trailer and haven't even looked at it since. So have I been to the Marathon Factory in Nashville? Yes, I have. A couple times actually, and once again, an amazing place. I've been there a few times. The American Picker store is in there. I don't know that Mike bought that building. Last I knew, that building was actually owned by somebody else, unless Mike has recently purchased it. The first time we were there, which was actually spring break front end that actually had been on an episode that was cut off, the 59 Cadillac nose that's on a stand. We picked that up, and actually that was when I met Robbie. Robbie Wolf was there, and that's when I got to know him and got to be friends with him. But then we went back when we did the shoot, when we bought the 41 Chevy cab over from them. Production actually flew us to Nashville to do that shoot, and obviously we went down and checked the store out. We flew in a couple days early so we could hang out down there, check out some things in Nashville. And went back there again in fall of, actually would have been Thanksgiving weekend of 2018, because we did that shoot at the Columbia warehouse where they're fixing up that Chevrolet dealer the Monday after Thanksgiving. So we were back there in November of 18, 3.5 years, and that place had changed dramatically from what it was in 2015. The Picker store was there and a few other businesses. When we went back in 2018, tons more stuff had been done with that building, a lot more businesses in that building, and the building itself is absolutely amazing. The old wooden floors, the old wooden beams, they've got some great Marathon motor car displays in there. And once again, just like when we talk about badges, the Marathon was one of those obscure brands that didn't last real long, but a really cool history behind it. They made some really cool cars. The official, or the quote unquote official Marathon Museum is across the street. They have 2 or 3 marathons in there on display. But like I said, the transformation that building took in 3.5 years, with as many more businesses in there, and has for how much more of it was actually opened up that you got to see, that had been restored and refurbished, was amazing. So definitely, if you are ever in Nashville, you definitely want to check out the Marathon Motors Factory, where the American Picker store is. So thanks for bringing that up, Old School, because that is another great place that you definitely want to check out. So anyway, that's about what I've got for tonight. So stay tuned for hopefully some new inventory videos if the wind calms down. And actually, we're supposed to get a bunch of rain too. So hopefully I can get some new inventory videos shot. If nothing else, like I said, tons of great footage from last week. Can't wait for you guys to see the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory stuff. And check out some different stuff you don't get to see very often, and learn about some stuff that you don't get to see very often. And hear some of the stories that Doug tells about his dad. So you can check them out at the Auburn Cord Factory, acdfactory.com, on just as their regular website, and the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company on Facebook. Check out the books they've got available. They do have a very nice hardcover coffee table book that I did pick up. They are down to the last probably a couple handfuls of those, or maybe 15 or 20 of those left on the shelf. That book will not be reprinted. It is still available in softback. But the hardback coffee table type book, they're limited on that. A lot of the stories about his dad are in there, and about, bringing these cars back and kind of reinvigorating the brands back in the 60s and 70s. So really cool stuff. I hope you guys enjoy that stuff, because it is going to be a little bit different. than what we usually do, but it's so much cool information. I'm so stoked that Doug took the time with us. So anyway, that's what I've got for tonight. I'll keep an eye on comments for the next couple of minutes, even though Mike still thinks I need to get a haircut, but he says that every week. So I guess that's nothing out of the ordinary. Hopefully next week Facebook will be cooperating, because obviously it has not cooperated at all tonight. Haven't even had a comment on there in 15 minutes, so that kind of tells you something, because Facebook usually is almost a steady stream of comments. So hopefully it'll cooperate next week. Keep an eye and see if we've got anything else popping up before we get ready to wrap up. As always, I appreciate you guys swinging back by tonight, spending some time with me and with all of us, because you guys are the ones that make this happen. I'm the one that gets to sit here and talk. That's all I am. I'm the lucky one that gets to hang out with you guys, but you guys are the ones that make it. Thanks for the kind comments, Dan. And like always, I don't get to all the comments between all the different formats between Facebook and YouTube. And not only that is, just like the notifications, you get notifications sometimes. Well, but you got to remember, I'm admin on 7 or 8 different Facebook pages. So every time, I definitely have them turned off on my phone, but every time I look at email on that account, it's page after page of notifications from all the pages that I am admin on, from the people that I help out with, the SRCA Drag Strip page, the Auburn Court Duesenberg page, obviously the car club page, my own pages. I've got a friend who's a county commissioner. I help her with her page. So I don't get to all the comments, but I do see some of them, and I super appreciate the kind words and the support of all of you guys for what I do. It just makes me want to do more and try to do a good job for you guys. That's what I'm trying to do. Thanks for all the comments. Ironhead Garage, Old School, my good friend Bill Twitchell, Chris, Tim L. Thanks a lot, guys. I super appreciate it. It really makes it worth doing. And like I said, this isn't me. This is all you guys in the community that we've built here and continue to build. If you've got friends that want to jump on with us, by all means, tell them to jump on next Sunday night with us so we can hang out and have another great time. So looks like we're about wrapped up. So I'm going to go ahead and bail off of here. I got to get a little more work done yet tonight. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. More cool stuff coming up. Hope to see you Tuesday night. We'll try to do Toy Tuesday live again, since I'll be here, and get you some more cool content this week. So Ironhead Garage says hit the like button. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate the support there as well. There were some other comments about hitting the like button from a few other you guys tonight. Once again, it's just support for me, and I appreciate it. But I do it for all of you. So Mike's on a basketball kick tonight. He said Houston's about to lose also, so don't bet on any Texas basketball team. So if you're a basketball guy, which I'm not, Mike's keeping you updated. So, but there again, Classic Ride Society, Craig, thanks for all the comment. James, it's you guys' support is the reason that I do it, and makes me want to do an even better job for you. So thanks for all that. I'm going to bail off, get to work, and hope to see you Tuesday night, and definitely, if not, sure, hope to see you back here next Sunday night, same time, same channel, 7 o'clock. We'll do some more cool live chat stuff, and hope to see you then. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will catch you later on the next video.